Welcome, race fans, to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast with Cam K and Brandon Bunn. True Canadian race fans. This show is presented by Remax Jack. Call Remax Jack and start to pack. Green flag is out. Let's get this podcast underway.
Well, you know what, Graydon? The housing market is still on fire. It is hot, 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 hot. If you are waiting for that cool down, our man Remax Jack says it doesn't look like that's going to happen. What he's got to say, you've got to buy right now. Don't wait. The condo market is not as competitive as the household markets.
Call our man Remax Jack. He knows where the deals are, and he knows how to get you the most money for you when you sell your home. When you get the green flag to buy or sell, Remax Jack will get you the checkered flag with fuel in your tank and rubber to spare.
Call Remax Jack and start to pack. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. I'm Ken K. I'm along with Graydon Bunn, and we're joined by Kyle Marcelli, who's joining us. And even though he is one of the most experienced drivers from Canada in the sports car world, he's a rookie when it comes to the NASCAR Pinty Series. And he joins us today. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Cam. I'm glad to be here and look forward to the conversation.
Well, let's get started with the background, because one of the things that we actually had talked about previous to your announcement was the names that we'd love to see in the series. Now, we've had some sports car drivers in the past that have come in and driven. Way back in CASCAR, Scott Maxwell drove in this series, and he flat out dominated and won at most sport. We've seen Daniel Morad. We've also seen, we see actually out west, Scott Hargrove joining our friends out in BC with Avion Motorsports in the RS1 series. So sports car racing and Pinty series go very well together because it's road racers and road courses, but with stock cars. What attracted you to come to this series?
Well, that's a good question. And as I've said, I've been looking to get my feet wet in this series for a few years. It was sort of schedule conflicts with the sports car world that prevented me from doing it sooner. But, number one, it's a local, it's local to Canada. It's a national series and really Canada's only national professional racing series. Top drivers from various backgrounds, cars that are still old school in their way of driving. And it's just a very different style of driving that I'm used to, where you're taking care of the equipment and taking care of the tire. And it's, the car's changing dramatically over a race. So all stuff that I'm not used to from the sports car world. Furthermore, big names, but also big sponsor partners. There's some big brands that have aligned themselves in this series. And, I learned from a young age that marketing is key and sponsorships are key to motorsport. And it's something I still work at actively day to day. And I have a team that helps me. And so we just thought that, although sports car racing is the priority for me, and that's really where my professional career is. I'd like to leverage the NASCAR Pinty series to secure some corporate sponsors and to have this sort of additional program in Canada that fills the voids of my sports car programs.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah. We've seen it. Tag does pretty good for himself up here.
Yeah, he sets the example.
And as fans, someone with a model like that, like what you just mentioned, we thank you for that. I mean, that's, as we just sort of previously talked about before we started recording, the beauty of the Pinty series is that the driver lineup is so diverse in terms of where each driver comes from, which makes it so entertaining when all you guys get onto a road course or a street course. I mean, you have like your born-bred oval racers turn road coursers and sports car racers turn stock cars and all that. And to bring it together, you're your professional stats are remarkable, and you're attracted to this series. So that's really amazing. Tell us about what your professional career is about, Kyle, like with your Lambo and your Ford Mustang.
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming out of go-karts, I think I started racing karts at the age of 10, and fast forward to the age of 16, I got out of them. I was looking to go that single-seater route initially, but sponsorships were super important, and we just, we didn't have the family money to go that open-wheel route, and couldn't quite generate the sponsorship that was needed. So it was guys like Ron Fellows, David Empringham, that sort of guided me to the sports car world, and that became the new goal for me. I was always aware of the American Le Mans series. I used to go to Motorsport every year and watch the American Le Mans when they came to town. So that was the new goal, the new dream. And then in 2010, I made my debut in the American Le Mans series at the 12 Hours of Sebring. And, just very grateful to have built a career in the sports car world. For a long time, really from 2010 up until last year, it's been privateer, sort of 1 year contracts directly, with the race team. Which have been great. But the new goal for me was I want to align myself with a manufacturer, and I want to, be loyal to a brand. And, we won the championship in 2019 in an Acura NSX. And, then I, had my first factory contract with Honda for 2020, and things were off to a good start, and then COVID hit. But, the sports car world is I guess, my roots. We've had a lot of success in various GT3, GT4, and prototype categories. Still lots that I want to accomplish. I'd like to get to Le Mans someday. I've done the 24 Hours of Daytona a number of times, but we've never been on the podium or won that event. That's a bucket list, item. And then just to keep doing it, the sports car thing is still kind of where my passion is. I like the endurance aspect of it as well, and I want to keep that going. But I want to diversify at the same time, and I want to fill voids with events in the stock car world.
Key to any successful business, right? This day and age is diversification.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you talked about coming from the sports car world. This series, we've seen kind of a various, as Graydon touched on. We have drivers that have gone the IndyCar route, the NASCAR route, the just plain oval track route. We have drivers that did start out in sports cars. The Dumoulin's, for example, they had sports cars in their sights. They'd been at the Daytona. I think JF has actually won at Daytona or been on the podium.
Yes, he has one there.
Yeah. So this seems, again, and to see the success that they have here, it seems like it's a natural progression. You race with so many other drivers from all different countries, but there is a good representation of Canadian drivers within the sports car world. I was looking through them today, and it seems like sports cars, it went through a bit of a lull when there was that division. Obviously you had Le Mans, and then you had the Rolex sports car series. Then they've come together, and it almost feels like there's a rejuvenated fan base in sports car, especially in the endurance racing. Why do you think that is? Was it the coming of two series together? Is it just the different variety of vehicles? Is it the variety of drivers? What do you think that reasoning is?
Yeah, I think, we saw the same with the Champ Car and IndyCar thing, years back, where you had two series sort of fighting for the same fan base. And, eventually one's going to survive and one's not. And now we've got the IndyCar series, and it's thriving. And it's kind of the same in the sports car world, where you had the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series and American Le Mans Series, that have finally now merged together. And we've got the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship out of it. Sports car racing has always been about the cars, though, and less about the drivers. And I think, maybe that's what the fans like is there's a BMW corral, there's a Corvette corral, there's a Porsche corral, and, they're cheering for their brand. They're cheering for the car that they drive day to day, or their weekend, warrior sports car. That's the car they want to win the race. So I think that's what's unique about sports car racing and what it has going for itself. And then you sort of factor in the endurance aspect, and it is a place where equipment is tested and, technology is developed and, carried through to the cars we drive every day. And I think that's that's sports car racing.
So if you look at that and go, okay, well, you're used to running endurance races, and then you go and run an 1.5 to 2 hour Pinty series race. You'd think that performance, you went through your first event at GP3R, so you got to be like fresh as a daisy coming out of the car after that race, right?
Barely break a sweat.
Yeah, you'd think so, but man, it gets hot in there. Yeah. I had all the nannies, like the little extra heel boots that you can get. I had bought myself a pair of those. I was fully equipped, ready to go, and I said to the guys afterwards, like, I still felt like my heel was on fire inside the car. And, but at the same time, I was grinning ear to ear, like just having a ball driving those cars. And, I guess from a duration standpoint, Daytona 24, you're in the car for anywhere from an hour for a single stint, maybe close to 3 hours on a triple stint. But, you're not 10/10 the whole time necessarily like you are in the stock car. So I would say they're kind of one and the same in the level of fatigue or, the heat that you have to deal with.
Yeah, you say that. Yeah, they're one and the same that way, and yet they're apples and oranges compared to the actual driving discipline, which makes it so cool that you can adapt to all these different disciplines. And I know you touched on this with my boys, but in my opinion, like amazing racers like Andretti's and Foyt's and Dan Gurney and is just the understanding of what it takes to make that particular race vehicle go fast. And you seem to, judging by which, by the way, your website is amazing for doing pre-show research. I mean, that was better than Wikipedia. Anyway, getting back to it, it's just, I don't know if that's a question at all. It's just your natural born ability to adapt to different disciplines. How do you do that? I guess like it's just in your blood, in the back of your pants.
And to that point, you didn't get a lot of practice time in the car.
Right.
No. Yeah. So, in that specific scenario, I was taken to Cayuga, which I'd never been to Cayuga, on like a track night. And it was a bunch of Honda Civics and BMWs, and there must have been 300 cars there. And I think I had 2 clear laps the whole night. Otherwise, I was passing 20 cars a lap. But anyways, the cars themselves, from a stock car to a sports car, they're apples and oranges.
Yeah.
It's trial and error in the sense of understanding what the car likes. It's also, doing due diligence and asking questions. And, I commented that I reached out to Andy Lally and Austin Cindric before my first Pinty Series race, just say, hey, what kind of information can you give me? I'm about to, make my debut, and I don't want to make a fool out of myself. And they both gave me great advice and advice that, was constantly on my mind when I was driving the car. And so it's those sort of things. And then it's just seat time. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of it on a weekend. At Three Rivers, we had 1 60-minute practice. And that was a new racetrack for me as well as a new car. And looking ahead to CTMP, it's a 45-minute practice and then qualify. And, last weekend I was in a Mercedes GT4 and I got a totally reset in 45 minutes, figure out the stock car.
Yeah.
Well, we are huge fans of GP3R. I think we think of it as one of the best.
That's a bucket
circuits,
list.
One of the best circuits that you could possibly drive on. What was your experience like? Because there's very little room to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I think it was still dealing with this pandemic. I don't think I got to experience the event as
No.
what it
Yeah.
what I've heard of it as, what I know it as. But the racetrack itself, it was a great circuit. There was some places, on the track that probably some corners that were my least favorite and corners that were my most favorite. I really liked the high speed section at turn 7 and 8, sort of that you're coming in there with some steering wheel in the car while getting on the brakes. I really like that section. Going underneath the bridge or the whatever that is, whatever they call it. That was tight and way more tight than it looked like in TV or any onboard. So yeah, no room for error. And going back to driving the stock car, for me, braking was the single biggest challenge to deal with, and how to maximize the brake performance without shattering the rear axle and swapping ends. So the street course is certainly a challenging place to maximize the brake performance, for your first time.
And I know Tag won it, but I mean, you're going against the Dumoulin brothers, who know that town like they're coming home from their girlfriend's house past curfew. So I mean, it's that's a pretty stacked field. Just those two brothers alone, they know those streets like the back of their hand. And like you said, for my family, GP3R is a bucket list destination, just to experience what an entire town has turned into a speed festival. It looks just so cool. And this year just wasn't the year to do it, but it's definitely on our list for 2022, maybe summer little vacay, because it does look amazing. Yeah. To that, you race a lot, you travel a lot. It's I'm sure grueling at times, and also because of your website, we found that you like to do a lot of the same things we do, getting away out into nature and hiking and fishing and doing all that. It's so important, especially now, to value all those things when you can get away. So just tell us about what it's like to get away from the grind and what you like to do.
Yeah. I'm fortunate that I met my wife, who's from a small town in Northern Ontario, and that's my getaway now, is sort of we escape back to her hometown, 4 hours north of here. And we're on the water. It's off grid. There's no cell phone service. You're just sort of, you're in
nice.
you're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And there's something about that, just that sort of disconnecting from the real world. You're not sitting in traffic or hearing horns or your cell phone's ringing, and that's the getaway. Yeah, I mean, whether we're on the boat, we do the tiki tours of the lake. Or we're jumping off cliffs, or we're fishing, all of the above. It's a good time, and it's a nice escape from the grind of traveling, for motorsport purposes.
My wife's proving herself to be a hell of a fisher or an angler, and I'm learning how to clean fish very well this summer. It's the roles reversed. I can't cook for anything at home, and she kills and provides out in nature, and I clean it and bring it and cook it out there. So it's we can relate to that. Really, it's so good to, as you say, just get away from the cell phone service and just get back to simple living for a bit.
Yeah, there's a number of islands on the lake, and each year we try to pick a different island and camp.
Cool.
We choose an island so that we avoid the bears, but we'll set up a bonfire. And this year, my brother-in-law, he's the fisherman of the family, and we went out fishing thinking that was going to be our dinner. I caught nothing, and thankfully he did, and we were able to fry up some fish over the bonfire, and that was dinner. So it's just awesome to.
Yeah, for sure.
We definitely could use a number 7 Bass Pro Shops Canada car. So I'm just saying, Kyle Marcelli is making himself a prime candidate to be a driver for Bass Pro Shops for Canada, just saying. But Kyle, we want to thank you for joining us today. Obviously, you've got a lot of talent. We've actually been talking with your name as one of the names we were hoping to see in the series, and then long and behold, here you come. Obviously there's a lot of names I think that we are blessed to be able to see, and one of the names that was yours coming up through the sports car ranks and seeing your successes, and we're hoping all the best for you, especially with Dave Jacombs being one of the best teams that you could possibly partner with. Let's take the time because we want to always showcase your sponsors, the sponsors that get you to the track.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I'm grateful to Dave and his team for giving me the opportunity. He's bending over backwards, to make it happen for me. And we're thinking long term. We'd like to build something, together going forward. For the races I'm doing this year, Simcoe Building Center was a big part of that, and more windows and doors. So, Ontario companies, in the construction world, but they were a big part of making this program happen, and I'm sure they'll be a part of it going forward as well. So we'll see what happens. But Dave's a great guy. I think we've really connected well together in the short time we've worked together. I'm learning from him, he's learning from me, and I look forward to what we can do together. I hope we're competitive this weekend at Mosport. That's the goal. GP3R was sort of get the feet wet, and then we're going for the win this weekend.
Well, you were up in the top 5 before mechanical troubles, so I think that bodes well. Great. And what do you have to say to Kyle Marcelli?
Oh, well, we have a Simcoe Building Center not too far from my house here, so we'll definitely support that. And my boys were very excited to be able to talk to you. My sons love sports car racing, particularly. To be honest, they've expanded my horizons in the motorsports that they love, and so we thank you for your time very much, and we wish you luck, and we hope we can bump into you maybe this weekend at the track.
Yep, that would be fantastic. It was great meeting and speaking with you both, and I look forward to shaking hands in person.
Awesome.
Well, we want to thank Kyle Marcelli for joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We will see you all real soon. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to subscribe.